Well, good morning, everybody. Hey, do you need more sponsors for your events? Have you ever wondered how the big events get the big sponsors? Or do you just need more revenue? Well, you've come to the right place. Hello, everyone. My name is Phil Immordino, and this is the Gtaa Champions Forum. We've had an opportunity over the 30 years to work with thousands of tournaments around the world. We see what works and we see what doesn't work. We've sold sponsors from $250 to $1 million. So our job is simple: to bring that information to you, to help you produce the best golf tournament possible. In today's session, we're going to talk about how do you sell big sponsors. We're going to discuss several topics. What is a sponsor? What is a sponsorship? How and why do companies sponsor events? How do you find these sponsors? How do you sell these sponsors? And how do you keep them coming back year after year? So before we get started, I really want you to keep an open mind. A lot of us have been selling sponsors over the years, but the challenge has been some of us haven't really been selling real sponsorships. So I want you to keep an open mind, because we've got different type folks on this call, and you're all going to be looking at this session in a different way. So depending on who you are and what your motives are, be thinking a little bit different. So if you're a tournament planner, you obviously want to be thinking about your 1 or 2 events a year that you do, how to generate more money, maximize that income. But more importantly, how do you give your sponsors exposure throughout the year? If you're a tournament consultant, you help other people produce golf tournaments. So you're going to want to learn, how do you help your customers? So the information you'll learn today will hopefully transfer to the people that you're working with. If you're a golf course, you not only host your own events, which you need some sponsors for, but you also want to help your customers, because if you help your customers get more sponsors, they're going to win. It's going to be a win-win. They'll get more golfers, you make more money. It's a win-win all the way around. So you're going to want to help your customers learn how to sell more sponsors. And then finally, if you're a supplier and a vendor, we all know the number one objection is no money. Well, your job today is to listen. How do your customers sell sponsors to be able to afford your products? Because they get more sponsors, they can afford what you're offering. And we have all types on this call, so I'm really anxious that you all could join us. So be open-minded. You're all going to be thinking a little bit different. Bottom line is, we're going to learn how to sell sponsors and not only help your customers, but help your own events. So let's get started. What is a sponsor? What is a sponsorship? Well, we all know the definition. This is not brain science. It's very simple. The definition of a sponsor is to support a person, an organization, or an activity by giving money, encouragement, or other types of help. So that's simple, but the bigger question is, how do we get the big money? See, we've all seen and we've all sold sponsorships, and we know that they come in different shapes, different sizes, from little cash to big cash to gifts and prizes. And the question that we're going to answer today is, how do we get the big cash? That's what we're all here. I don't need to show you how to sell a whole sign. I don't need to teach you how to get a trade for items to be a sponsor. The goal here is how to raise big money through sponsorship. So let's back up and talk about the typical sponsorship. You've all seen it a million times. You probably sold it. The typical sponsorship you see in golf tournaments is a whole sign, maybe the name on a website. It's going to include, maybe a logo on an item. Maybe you introduce them at the award ceremony. But the bottom line is, you're reaching only 100, maybe 120 golfers at a golf tournament. Now that's nice. Those are nice items, and there's nothing wrong with those items. The problem is, they're just nice. It's not the big money. It's nice little items. In fact, I really believe that the whole sign is more of a donation to support your cause, which is great. And don't get me wrong. But how do we get the big money? Well, again, keep an open mind. And the first idea that I want to share with you is to change your thinking about your event. Your event is not a one-day event. See, we think about one day, 100 golfers, and a hole sign. That's typically the sponsorship. But what we're talking about is building your event into a marketing campaign. a 2-month promotion before your event, and then a 1-month promotion after the event. So consider long-term marketing and not just a one-day event, reaching thousands, hopefully, versus that 100 people. Because really the bottom line is your sponsors want more. Which brings us to the next very important question. Why do companies sponsor events? What are their motivation? And we've done a lot of research, a lot of homework. We talk to sponsors, we sell sponsors, so we know what they want. So here are the main reasons that companies sponsor events. 1, great cause, or I'm sorry, great event. We're going to get into that. 2, community exposure. 3, the good cause. 4, more business, and most importantly, a relationship with you. So let's get into those quickly. A great event. Now, I know we all think that our events are great. Obviously, we do them. We're a little biased. But I'm talking about a better than average event. Not just your average golf course, but a better golf course, the best golf course if you can. A first-class facility that gets everyone excited. Great prizes, not just your typical goodie bag with tees and ball markers, but I'm talking quality gifts and prizes. And then real important is quality golfers, not good golfers. That's not the important thing. Okay, we don't need a bunch of really good golfers. There's not many out there. What we need is quality buyers. So when you're thinking about a great event, you're thinking about an event that's first class, above the rest, great venue, great gifts and prizes, great food, and quality golfers. I'd rather call them quality buyers. See, your golfers are buyers, and that's the important thing that you need to remember, because your golfers buy stuff, and that's what sponsors want to hear. So the first reason that a sponsor is going to sponsor your event is a great event. You got to have a first-class event, not your typical run of the money. But now remember, you got to have a great event to get the bigger money, and that's our theme today. The next reason that they sponsor events is a community exposure. Okay, now, the more exposure you give them, the more excited and the more money that they're going to give you. So exposure just doesn't mean a logo on a sign or a logo on a website. It means so much more. It's a PR campaign. It's an advertising campaign. It's social media campaign. The more eyeballs that see your sponsor, the more money they're going to give you. It's pure and simple. It's cost per thousand. The more thousands of people that you can reach with the marketing of your event, the more beneficial it is to your sponsor. So community exposure in your area is a very, very important thing. The cause. Obviously, we all believe in our cause, and we think that other people do. But remember, there are millions of good causes. So why is a sponsor going to sponsor your cause versus the cause down the street? So a couple things. Number one, they have to believe in you. You have to be credible. You have to have some type of emotional tie with that sponsor. Maybe you're a children's hospital and the owner of the company's son was cured in your hospital. Or maybe there's someone who had cancer, but because of your research, they were cured of cancer. So there's got to be an emotional tie. So look for that connection, because there's a lot of good causes. But if there's an emotional tie, they're going to be emotionally tied into you and feel like they want to support and give you more money. The next reason that companies sponsor events is business. It's pure and simple. This is all about business. Now, in the old days, we had a lot of money to throw around and give to all kinds of causes. But nowadays, things are tight. So people are watching every dollar. So they're going to watch the money that they give out, not only for good causes, but also for advertising campaigns. So bottom line is they want more money. They want more business. They want more customers. So your job is to figure out, how do you get them more customers through your event? So it's important that we analyze, and we're going to get into how you do that in a moment. So they want more business. And then finally, they must have some type of a relationship with you or someone on your committee. I'm going to encourage you to recruit people on your committee with connections and relationships. Very, very important, because the more relationships and connections that they have, the more successful you're going to be selling sponsors, pure and simple. You can't do this alone. If you and one other person are in a community, you're going to be limited to the sponsors that you can go out and reach. So there's got to be some type of relationship. So the more people on your committee, the more contacts and relationships they have, the more sponsors you're going to get, pure and simple. So those are the 5 reasons that people and companies sponsor events. Great event, great community exposure, a good cause, more business, and a relationship with someone tied in. So the next question is very important. Where do we find these sponsors? They're all over the place. And I want to discourage you from simply getting a list, sending out a letter to 1,000 people and hoping and praying that they're going to respond, because we all get tons of emails and letters every day for companies who want us to sponsor them. So it's important that we go a step beyond. So it first starts with your database. Very, very important that you need a very in-depth database of potential sponsors. The bigger the database, the more you have to pull from. So you must contact the right people with a relationship with either you or someone on your committee. So who are those people? Well, one is vendors and suppliers. See, every one of us, every one of you, your organization spends money with somebody, whether it's your office building, whether it's your attorney, whether it's your insurance company. We all spend money with somebody, your bank, your car dealers. These are people who know you. You've spent money with them. They trust you. You've been giving them money probably for years. Those are prime prospects. If you don't know where to look at your accounts receivable. Okay, accounts receivable is huge. That's a pure list of everyone you spent money with over the years. Pull that accounts receivable list out. Another place to look is past beneficiaries. Look through the history of your organization. Find individuals who have benefited from your organization and reach out and connect with them. You may have lost touch, but maybe people that were, again, cured through your research, maybe relatives who had been touched by your organization. So reach out to them and reconnect and build that relationship back, because those are prime. Maybe they've started a business since you've talked to them last. Maybe they've been very successful, or maybe they just have lots of money. So it's important to find those people and reconnect anybody who's been involved with the organization in the past. Great place is your board members. Board members typically are well connected. They're established in the community. They work for banks. They work for car dealers. They work for law firms. These are people well connected in the community. Reach out to your board. Find out who they know and utilize the board members to reach out to these potential sponsors. But I encourage you to go through all your past relationships, all your business contacts, your business cards, your Rolodexes, if you still have those, and reach out to those people that you used to be connected with and update them on what you've been up to and what's going on and how your cause is really helping the community. And then finally, any partnerships that you've had. You may have a partnership right now with a big sponsor. Maybe it's a big bank who sponsors your organization. And you're saying, well, Phil, we don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul. We don't want to take money from them to do another event. Well, let me just remind you something. This is added value. This is an additional event. Don't be afraid. This is marketing. This is not another handout. This is not another donation. You're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're giving them a unique new idea to reach new potential buyers. So when you think of it that way, your partners should be excited. Your current sponsor should be excited to invest additional revenue with you, because we're talking about a whole new group of potential buyers. So think about all your relationships. Think about who you've connected with. Think about who you've bought from. Think about your board members and who they're connected with. The bigger the committee, the more the contacts, the more the potential sponsors that you have. Which brings us to the big question: how do we sell them? How do we sell sponsors? So first of all, we've got our good cause together, which I'm just assuming you've got the good cause together. But there are three key ingredients to selling sponsors. Very important. Now, I'm going to send you this PowerPoint. You're going to get this recording, so don't panic. You're going to have all this, but I encourage you to take notes, because when you take notes, it sinks in. But write these three things down because they're important. Okay, number one is the demographics. The demographics of your golfers and who you're reaching through this marketing campaign. It's not just 100 golfers, although those are important, but it's all the potential golfers, all the potential people that you're reaching through your advertising, through your social media, through your direct mail, through your blast emails, through your website. Who is viewing this? Sponsors want to know a couple of things. Write these down. They want to know, who are you reaching? What do they do for a living? How much money do they make? Where do they live? What do they buy? What are the buying trends for their industry? So demographics are key. And if you can produce these demographics with these topics, you're going to not only impress your sponsors, but they're going to get it. The light's going to go on saying, yes, I want to meet those people and those potential buyers. So ask yourself, what is our marketing campaign? Who is our marketing campaign reaching? All right. Who's seeing that brochure? Who is seeing your blast emails? Who is viewing your website? Maybe you're getting some free advertising on radio or television or newspaper. Maybe you're getting articles in newspapers or magazine. Who's seeing that? And then potentially, is it possible to put your sponsors in those in that PR, in that advertising, in that marketing? Who's seeing your social media? These are the things that your sponsors want to see. They want to see not only demographics, but your marketing campaign. What are you doing to promote your event? What are you doing to promote your organization? And how many people are you reaching? This is a cost per thousand decision. If they see you reaching thousands of people, they're going to spend more money. It's that simple. Sponsors want, really, bottom line, one thing. They want to sell more products and more services. The good cause is a great thing. Great exposure is a good thing. But really, the bottom line is they want to sell more products and services. And the more you can help them sell, the more money you're going to get. It's that simple. So are you reaching the right people? Are you reaching their customers? They want to know, and it's going to help you sell. So once you've got that marketing campaign together, you got your database, you know you're reaching out here. Now the very key next step is putting together sponsorship packages that work. And again, I see sponsorship packages come across my desk every day in a brochure, on a website. And I hope, please don't take this personal, but they don't give the sponsor much. They don't talk about return on investment. It's simply what we talked about earlier. A whole sign, the logo on a website, maybe the logo on a golf ball. All those are great, gang, but it doesn't give the sponsor justification to spend more money. So as you're building your sponsorship packages, I want you to keep one theme in mind: ROI, return on investment. That's what your sponsors are looking for. They're saying to themselves, if I give you $1, I want $4 in return. So if you sell a $1,000 package, they're going to want $4,000 in return, whether that's business, whether that's exposure, but they want a return. You want to sell a $10,000 package? Great. Give them $40,000 in exposure and new business. If they can justify their investment with you, then they're going to spend more money. It's pure and simple. So your packages should include not just a whole sign, their name on the website, introduction at the award ceremony, all that's great. But the real meat of a sponsorship is an advertising campaign. What are you doing to advertise your event? What is your public relations? What's your PR strategy? Are you getting articles? Are you doing interviews on radio? How are people hearing about your event and your organization? Social media. Are you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn? There's a variety of ways that you can get the word out through social media. You should have an effective social media campaign. Blast emails, powerful. Do you have a database? How many people are in your database? Who is that going to? Maybe your donors, maybe your members, maybe people that have been involved with you before, but a powerful blast email. Tell those sponsors how many people you're blast emailing on their behalf. That's huge. Display opportunities, obviously, what we talked about, but I really encourage you not just to be put up this little tiny hole sign that, you know, you've all seen it. It's 1 foot by 2 foot on a chintzy little wire. Okay, that's what everybody does. I want you to go and be above and beyond with signage. Make those signage big. If you've ever watched an event on TV, the PGA Tour, they don't have those little plastic signs unless it's saying restrooms that way. They have big billboards, big banners, they have flags, they got stuff that gets sponsors excited. If you have great signage for your sponsors all over the place, that's impressive. That'll make them happy. That'll get them excited. So they want display opportunities. Maybe you have display tables at your event where they can display their product, or have a display tent where they can come in and share. But the bottom line is this, gang, they want a return on investment. So if they give you $1, they want $4 in return. So when you're building your packages, you want to show them how you're going to get them new customers. So let me just give you a couple of examples of what we've done, because pricing is across the board. There's no exact formula except for giving them more. Obviously, the more you give them, the more they're going to pay. But let me just remind you of this. Since you're going to be asking for more money, the $5,000, the $10,000, the $50,000 sponsorships, you must get to them early. You have got to get to your companies early, because they're not making $10, $15, $20,000 sponsorship decisions 30 days before you need the money. And that's what 90% of typical charities do, or organizations. They'll go to a company 30 days in advance. Well, the money's spent, gang. So you're going to get discouraged. You're going to hear the money's not in the budget. You've all heard that. We've all heard it a million times. The reason being is you're not getting to these companies early enough. So you need to reach out at least 6 months in advance. Get to these companies 6 months in advance if you're going to be looking for big money. Then they can put it in the budget. Okay, so very, very important. Find out when their budget process is so that you can get them at the right time. So let me give you a couple of examples of some sponsorship packages that have really worked. Okay, number one is we sold Cadillac a huge sponsorship, and we've got in a lot of money from them. And we had a charity involved, but they never really cared about the charity, to be 100% honest with you. They were more cared about how do we sell more cars. So we created a sponsorship program to get more money from Cadillac, and it was called the Realtors Golf Tour. This was a golf tour for just realtors, where realtors competed to see who the best realtor golfer was in their area. We did these all across the country, and in every city we got Cadillac to sponsor it. And they gave us a lot of money, but here's what they got to justify the big money. Yes, they got their logo on all the items and all the brochures and the website, but we did a blast email to 10,000 realtors several months in advance promoting this event, the Cadillac Realtors Golf Tour. We put brochures and flyers in every realtor mailbox throughout the city. We had ads in trade magazines that just went to realtors. All this was great exposure. We literally reached thousands of people, thousands of potential customers for Cadillac. But here was the kicker. We promoted the event. To get into it was around $350 because it was a first-class private country club, a lot of bells and whistles. But if you were a realtor and you went into a Cadillac dealership to sign up for our event, it was only $150. So it was almost less than half price. So there was an incentive to get not only the golfers, but potential customers in the door of the sponsor. So we drove traffic to the sponsor. Now, once the golfers got out to the event, we got them there early, and everyone who drove, we had cars everywhere, everyone who test drove a Cadillac got a free box of Callaway golf balls. So this was an incentive to have a potential buyer sit in the product, sit in the car and test drive a car. So that was a win-win. Then we put realtor foursomes together, but we had a Cadillac representative in every foursome. We had the Cadillac general manager as the MC of the event. And then obviously they got goodie bags with logoed golf shirts with Cadillac, hats, gloves, towels, all with Cadillac. They love that. Then we sent Cadillac at the end a list of not only the golfers and their contact information, but several thousand realtors in the area who didn't even play in the event. So they were able to continue that campaign to reach out to realtors in the area. The bottom line is they sold a lot of cars. They offered a special discount for realtors, and it was a win-win. So we got big money from Cadillac. Cadillac sold cars, and it was a win-win for everyone. So that's the thinking that you need to go above and beyond for your sponsors, not just a whole sign. Oh, don't get me wrong. You'll sell whole signs for $250 all day long. But if you want the real money, you've got to offer a real return and customers. I'm going to tell you about a big package. And if you're probably thinking right now, Phil, how do we price these things? What's the price for the guy? Well, I'm going to tell you that you don't want to leave anything on the table. You don't want to give away whole sponsors to companies who could spend a lot more with you, but it's about what they're selling and what they're getting in return. So we recently sold $1 million sponsorship to a company, and all we had was 60 golfers. Now you're trying to say, well, how in the world does $1 million justify 60 golfers? Well, let me tell you, first of all, who the golfers were. These were 60 CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. So these were big guys. These were decision makers and potential buyers. The sponsor was iGate. iGate is an IT company out of India. They sell an IT program, and their average contract is $20 million. So they could easily justify spending $1 million to reach 60 prime customers, rub elbows, build a relationship, and sell one. That justifies their $1 million. So in your thinking, when you're putting together packages, think about how can we help our customer get customers? What are they selling? What is the cost of their product and services, and what kind of return? If you're trying to sell a car dealer, remember, they're going to make $1,000 to $3,000 per sale of every car. So don't sell your car dealership sponsors a whole sign for $250. If they sell one car, they've recouped their investment and so much more. So think about that. Think about banks when you're approaching these banks. If they get a couple of customers, they've got customers forever. That's thousands of dollars of revenue that they're going to get because of your event. So do not be afraid to ask for more money, but you have to justify it. You've got to show them the exposure, and then you've got to show them the customers that they're going to hopefully get from your event. So now the big question is, you got them that first year, how do we keep them coming back? Okay, so very, very important. You've got to do what we talked about. You've got to have a first-class event. You've got to impress them thoroughly with signage, with exposure, with introductions, give them a few words at the podium, get them excited about your event. In other words, undersell and over-deliver. Say if they get excited about your event and see all that you've done for them, you've got a customer for life. But don't be satisfied with just one event. I would negotiate with them right there at your event this year when you're fresh on their minds. They're seeing the signage. They're meeting customers. Now is when the time to sell them next year. Don't wait 8 months to reapproach them and say, hey, remember us? We did a sponsorship last year. We'd like to do it again. No, get them while they're hot. Talk to them at your event. Show them the signage. Introduce them to the customers. Say, do you like what you see? Can we get you involved next year? And then sign a 3-year agreement. Why not sign a 3-year agreement that keeps them, locked in for 3 years? Now the benefit of that is you can promote them all year round, adding value and adding exposure. Include them in your website all year round. Include them in your blast emails, your newsletters, your brochures, anything that you do, include them, adding value, adding exposure, justifying their income. But get them on that 3-year agreement, 3 to 5 year agreement, because now you've got them for the next several years. The next very important thing is communicate with your sponsors. You see, here's the problem with a lot of us that we've done in the past. We get the money, we get the sponsor, our event's done, and then we don't even recontact our sponsors for a year, 8 months, 10 months. And then we want to go back and get the money again. Okay. They feel used. Sponsors feel used. All they wanted was my money. But if you can learn to communicate with your sponsors all year round, drop them a personal note, send them a gift that says thank you for participating, include them in all your marketing, have their logo at the bottom of all your correspondence, reach out to them, let them know what your organization is doing, what you're spending the money on, the benefits, who's winning, who's benefiting from your organization. These are the things that they want to see, because let me just remind you, out of sight, out of mind. When they're thinking about you, they're thinking about supporting you. So don't lose contact with these sponsors. Communicate with them on a regular basis. Show them that you care about them. Send them a customer. Send them new business. Let me tell you, that goes a long way. They'll never forget about you. If you send them business, they'll never forget about you. So think about your sponsors. If you want the big money, you got to not only show them that you appreciate them, but communicate with them throughout the year and give them added value and exposure. So those are the basics. Now, I'm going to recap here in a second and highlight the benefits. But before we do that, I want to let you know that we have a sponsor. And a sponsor that's very important in related to events. So our sponsor is Vortex, and we're very honored to have Eric with us. And Eric, we're excited to have you as a preferred vendor of the GTA and working with a lot of our members and a lot of our consultants. So I would love for you to share with the people a little about what you're doing and why this is different. Guys, don't turn us off. This is not the weather insurance that your dad used to buy. This is all unique stuff, and it's really catered to what our needs are for our events today. Eric, can you hear me, and take it away?
Yes, Phil, thank you. That was fantastic, and we really appreciate being part of this and being a partner of yours. That was fantastic. Thank you. I only have a few slides and a few minutes here, so I just wanted to give everyone an overview of who we are and what we do. My name's Eric Anderson. I work for Vortex Weather Insurance. I've been in the weather insurance business for over 20 years. Basically, what we provide is a revenue stabilization tool that helps you protect your money in the event that you have rain. Either you get rained out, or a rain event affects how much money you're making at your golf tournament, or the dinner and auction afterwards, or a combination of the two. It's very simple. You buy a set of hours and a rain threshold for the amount. So if you look at your event and you just say you were going to have 100 golfers and it's $500 a golfer, so you're going to have 50,000 of coverage for a shotgun from 1 to 6. What happens if you get rained out? Yeah, you could have a rain date. It's not going to be as well attended, or people are going to not show up and spend the same kind of money. So if it hits a certain rain threshold, whether it's a 0.2 of an inch or 0.33 or 0.5 that you buy, you pay a premium for, basically you get paid in less than 2 weeks. And that's the first line there. Rain insurance is parametric. This isn't indemnity insurance, it's parametric, which means if you hit the threshold, you're getting paid. So if you buy 1/2 inch of coverage and it hits that amount, you get a check in less than 2 weeks for the $50,000. It's triggered basically if you hit that threshold. And it's up, I can work with you and show you the differences in your areas of the past historical data to help you guys with what policy to go ahead and buy. The government keeps all the data. You're going to be, you're going to ask me, okay, who provides that? There's no bias. It's online. The radar basically comes out of the sky with grids that are 2.5 miles by 2.5 miles that come right down on top of your property. So basically, it's a very simplified method that we have in place, again, by the government with no bias. You can pick the different trigger. And again, I'll walk you through all of that when we spend time together. But just think about all the events that you've played in or you've run where rain has come through. I can show you historically that if you had our insurance in place, you either for the full amount or partial amount, you would have the amount of premium that you have paid over time is just a smart investment to help you recapture and stabilize that revenue from hosting an event. I'm going to be hosting a webinar that's longer and much more in depth in the coming weeks that Phil will send out an email for. So real quick, the different policy options that we have are shotgun coverage, any kind of time that you'd like to have put in place, extended hours, which is smart, a double shotgun, or you can buy hours before the first ball's in the air, because what happens if it rains on your golf course? It's unplayable, people can't play, but it's sunny during the time that the first ball is supposed to be in the air. It's smart to buy extended hours. And then there's ladder coverage. So back to that $50,000 example, you can buy, you pay a premium amount. So if it hit 0.2 of an inch, you're going to get paid a certain amount. If it hit 0.33 of an inch, you're going to get paid the next layer of the amount. And if it hits the full amount, you're going to get reimbursed the full amount, again, in less than 2 weeks. So basically, we wanted to offer, the idea of who we are, how we can help your event. And again, we're going to be having our own webinar here in the next couple of weeks. So I just wanted to introduce myself. This is a bit of a teaser, but Phil was kind enough to put us off the tail end of his presentation. So Phil, thank you for that. And I look forward to speaking with everybody in the near future.
Eric, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We look forward to that upcoming webinar with more details. It's so important. We don't want to lose money and we don't want to ruin our events. So before I wrap up, gang, let me just say a couple quick things. Many of you are asking, how do I get more involved with the GTAA? So real quickly, we have 4 programs that one of you may be interested in. Certification. If you are a tournament planner, someone who plans tournaments, maybe 1 or 2 a year. You just want to do a better job. You want more credibility. You want that certification. We can put you through the complete in-depth training. If you want to start your own business, or maybe you have your own business in golf and you want to help others organizations put on better golf tournaments, you may want to think about becoming a golf tournament consultant, one who helps others put on events. If you're a golf course that wants to show your customers, you not only know what you're doing, but you're committed to helping them, then you may want to consider becoming a tournament certified golf course through the GTAA. And then finally, we have preferred vendors. We have some great suppliers and vendors that help our customers. And if you want to be preferred and get more promotion, more customers, more business, then we'd love to talk with you about that. So keep that in mind. We'd love to work with you. Feel free to email me or contact me independently of this webinar. So let me just wrap up by saying this, gang. We've gone through a lot of information, and you can sell bigger sponsors for much bigger money if you just do a couple of key things. One, it starts with your committee. It starts with your relationships and your contacts and who you know and who your people know. That's the first step. Then you've got to have a first-class event, an event that people are in awe of. Better golf course, better prizes, better food, better signage, not your typical run-of-the-mill event. You need sponsor packages that work, offering your sponsors a return on investment with exposure and new customers. The companies you need to reach are the ones you've already been doing business with. They know you. You've spent money with them, and they will benefit, and you will benefit by reaching out to them. Get to them 6 months in advance. Do not hesitate to get with them as soon as you get your plans together, because they need to put it in their budget. Follow up with them. Stay in communication. Don't be, thank you for your money and be gone. Stay in touch with them, follow up with them, communicate with them throughout the year, and then build those long-term relationships. Because if you can build those long-term relationships, then you're going to definitely keep them for a long time. You don't have to go out and resell them year after year. So we appreciate your time. We appreciate what you're doing in your communities. If we have any needs, any questions, we not only have expert consultants around the country, but you can always feel free to email me or call me anytime, and we'd love to work with you. So thanks for your time. Appreciate that. Email me with any questions, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks, and this is Phil Mordino signing off.